My name is Juan José Castellón, and I'm lecturer and researcher at the ETH in Zurich. I was former employee of a collaborator of Ábalos Herreros for almost 4 years, from 2003 to 2007. So for me, working in this project and looking at the archives is something even almost familiar. So it's a mix of research with a kind of interesting way to go back to my roots in that sense. And talking about the archives, a part of a very different way of understanding what is a research, because here the way the documents are treated is really special. It has been also an opportunity to look back for projects that for me were really key in the works of Ábalos Herreros. And that's why I have picked 3 documents that for me represent 3 different, let's say, concepts and theories that were behind the works of Ábalos Herreros. And I will go through them to explain why I have picked these different documents. The first one is this sketch of Casa Verde. This project was non-built, and this sketch is probably done, I'm sure, is an Iñaki drawing. What is interesting to me is that this drawing and this project is expressing a bit this condition of the duality between the natural and the artificial, or how the building and nature are, let's say, merged in one unique system. But also the technique of drawing, the sketch is also showing this approach that is more related with the perspective, with this kind of vectorial space that they were talking about. I mean, this kind of perception of the project that is built up from the experience, from walking through and approaching to it. But it's also a nice way to combine the representation of the drawing with the logic that is behind, that is kind of hybrid idea of the building and nature. It's a greenhouse, and actually the landscape is somehow transformed into the building, so the same slope becomes a ramp, and the ramp becomes the roof, and in one gesture basically you are merging nature and building. But also the treatment of the skin that, let's say, from a natural landscape become an artificial facade using conventional, let's say, technical system. I think for this facade they were using a checker block, which is a component that is especially for parking slots where you have a bit of grass and then you can park on top. But in this case it was used as a facade system. And well, for me that is the interesting part of this project, is basically this interaction between the artificial and the natural, but also about conventional systems in a kind of unconventional environment, or a conventional way of applying it into the project. The second document that I have picked is these pictures of a model of the torres mixtas, torres híbridas. This project is also, the 3 projects are from the 90s, and it's also unbuilt. For me it was important to pick projects that are not built, but they are somehow related with theories and concepts that they develop further later. And in this case it was this idea of the integration of environmental, thermodynamics, structure and programmatic systems in the building. What is interesting to me is that this project was developed 20 years ago, and already in this project you could find some of the topics that are right now addressed by them in their works. This project is very much technical. I think it's more related with systems, and it's more controlled somehow. What is interesting is the sequence of these drawings or these pictures that are addressing structural issues, and then how program and thermodynamics and technical solutions are are building up the form or the structure of the building. So it's a consequence, not as something that is imposed, but something that is generated by the underlying principles and systems that activate the project. And then the last document is this collage of the Casas AH. Actually, this project is probably one of my favorite projects in the office. For me, it's the one that is better expressing not just this duality between the magical box and the technical artifact, but also this attitude in front of the project, in front of complexity, that at the end of the day you can look at the project as something playful. You bring playfulness even in things that are super dry and technical. This project, if you look at the plans, actually they are extremely technical, and this project is based in the combination of standard systems, very technical solutions, and but behind of it there's a strong theory that is trying to bring new typologies of social typologies and new ways of thinking about the housing. But what I like of the document itself is the way that it's produced. It's a collage. It's actually very light in the way it's built, but somehow, as I said before, it's also showing this attitude that everything is possible somehow. Behind of this, you can always relate this with art, with a pop attitude, but also with a lot of things that can happen and are not under control, but it's giving you also the freedom of reacting to complex situations with a very, let's say, light attitude, a very unconventional understanding of the design process. But also, what I like is also that it's cut out is by hand. I mean, so it's a collage, and the technique of collage is also very much related with the way Ábalos Herreros were working. I mean, not just in the process in the design process, but also on site. This idea of different things, different systems, different techniques that and different theories that they merge together into a project. Mm-hmm. So.